Hey, welcome everybody. I'm so excited to be here for tonight's Back to School Teen Wellness 101 Zoom call. I am Patty McLean. I am the author of The Teen's Guide to Wellness, Purpose, and Abundance, and I'm also a silver leader with Young Living, and I'm a former high school teacher. You're going to get into a little bit of my story here in a minute, but I just want to welcome everybody and thank you for taking this time out of your busy week, especially on a Wednesday evening, to be here to talk about some ways that we can tackle the upcoming school year, make it the best school year ever, and leverage everything we know about natural wellness to make that happen. I mentioned this before we started recording, but I did make a PowerPoint, which is sort of different for me because I love to just kind of go with the flow, but I also know that we only have an hour this evening and I want to make sure I give you guys as much value and content as possible. So I'm going to keep myself on track with a little PowerPoint. And so I'm going to share my screen here with you guys so that you can see that. Here we go. Hopefully you can... Everybody see that where it says Back to School Wellness 101? You can just give me a little thumbs up there. Okay, cool. This is our Teen Oiler Zoom event, and I'm so excited that there are many Teen Oilers here and some parents and some teachers. I've never had so many people registered for an event, so that means that we're all looking forward to an awesome school year. And that's my goal tonight, and my promise is that I want to do everything I can to support you and make this the best school year ever. And I know that's kind of an extreme claim because the school year is unpredictable. But one of the things that I teach the most, and that you're going to hear me say probably a few times tonight or as we continue interacting with one another, is that I really believe that although we never get to choose what happens to us, we always get to choose how we react to the things that happen to us. And thanks to the tools we're going to talk about tonight, we have a lot of options in how to make that awesome. To get the most out of tonight's event, I have some suggestions up here for you. I encourage you to take notes. Lexi showed us her cool new, I don't know if it's new, but her cool notebook where she's going to be taking some notes. Please, please, please ask questions. When I'm in this full screen sharing mode, I can't see the chat, so I can't see all the questions, but I will toggle back and forth. I want you guys to have fun. One of the reasons I don't teach in a regular classroom anymore is because it's really my goal to focus on ways to make learning more interactive and fun, and that got more and more challenging with testing and stuff like that. So it's really important to me that everybody has as much fun as possible when we're working together. The next bullet is actually the tagline of my company, and it's what I write in all the books that I sign, and it's just be yourself, be awesome, be the change. That's my ultimate goal for every webinar, all my online workshops, my live workshops, is just to encourage young people to understand that they're already amazing and that together they, with some help, or maybe even not, can be the change, be the shift that we all want to see in the world to a better focus on things that are more positive, more natural, more that just feel better. So I also want you guys to be sure to stay with us until the end because I'm going to do a giveaway for everybody who's on live. The 3-week intensive workshop, the online course that was redesigned for back to school, actually starts on Monday. So I'm going to give away access to one of the live participants. And I also have a discount code for you guys if you're not the winner. So hang out to the end if you're interested in that. And even if you're not, because it's going to be full of awesome information. And that gets to my story. Most of you know this story already, but I like to change it up and add little tidbits here and there. But first and foremost, I'm a mom, a wife, a friend. My connections, my relationships are so important to me, so I have to make that the first bullet on my About Me section. My son is 6 years old now, and he's going into first grade, so that really fuels this whole back to school passion that I have, because school stress is actually apparent in elementary schoolers, and as a former high school teacher, I think I was under the mistaken impression that the stress didn't start until later. So I know middle school is a challenge, and I'm very familiar with high school, but it's interesting now to see how important it is for us to use these tools at all ages. I'm also an instructional coach, and what that means is that I was actually given the opportunity to coach my colleagues so that they could teach with better innovation, more strategies, more technology. And between those two roles, what I came to realize was that my students and my colleagues were incredibly stressed out. And it was always the best students with the biggest hearts and the best teachers with the biggest hearts who were the most stressed out. And that has fueled my passion for creating wellness for everybody in the context of education. So I'm really excited about tonight's topic. My next bullet there is all of the things I'm recovering from. No, not all of them. Some of the things I'm recovering from, but I went through a lot of personal stress myself, professionally, academically, and a lot of it came from my tendency to try to control things. And I was a perfectionist. I'm still working on these. And I was also a people pleaser and about 87 other things. And I don't share these things. I'm not saying them to, put myself down by any means. I really just want to share some of the things that I'm working on so that you know that I'm coming from a place where I'm putting into practice all of the things that I'm sharing, because it's been such an incredible journey for me. I had incredible anxiety and overwhelm and stress for years until I discovered the tactics we're going to talk about tonight: Young Living, natural wellness, mindfulness, breathing. It's interesting that I wasn't working on that one very well, but we're going to talk a little bit about breathing. I am a Young Living Silver leader, soon to be gold. That's my goal. Obviously soon to be diamond, but soon to be gold before diamond. And I am an advisor for this amazing global movement. It's a nonprofit, but it's also a movement called Everyone Matters. So I create school programming for schools in 8 countries now. And I'm an author, as I mentioned earlier. And all of this has really culminated in what we're doing tonight, because out of all of my experiences, I have 2 master's degrees and most of my doctorate. And about 2 years ago, I realized that my passion was to empower teenagers. The more I worked with teenagers, the more I saw what they were capable of, the more I learned from them, the more I knew that I wanted to take all of this background, all of my experiences, the good and the bad, and create materials and content to make sure that teens feel supported and have tools. Some of the teens that I work with are in recovery from drug and alcohol abuse, and it's so interesting when I work with them and they say that they wish that they would have known some of these things existed earlier because they feel like they would have made better choices. So I'm really excited to share all of this with you, and that transitions into our topic for tonight: back to school wellness. So summer's wrapping up. Some of you may be back to school already, and others are going back in the next week or two, and there are many concerns. So the teens that I've been working with in my wellness center, the ones I talk to through the Teen Oiler community on Instagram and Facebook, are really sharing concerns about school stress, studying, the academic part of it, social challenges. So I've been kind of really listening lately to hear some of the biggest concerns, and that led to the ultimate goals for tonight and for the upcoming intensive workshop, and that's just wellness and all levels: body, mind, spirit, because we all know they're all connected. Focusing on good decisions and ultimately empowerment, ways to increase confidence, connection. I love this idea. I met an amazing woman, an author, a couple weeks ago named Vinu Keller, and she wrote a book called Bully Proof, where she talks about some of the things we're going to talk about tonight and how building these skills and strategies actually makes all of us bully proof. And I know that we talk about bullies in context with young children and teens, but unfortunately it doesn't stop when you become an adult. So for those of you who are joining us who are parents or teachers or adults, I hope that as we go through the rest of these slides, the rest of the presentation, that you realize that these ultimate goals are great at every age. That's one of the best things that I've heard as far as feedback from my book was that when the adults read it, they realize that there's stuff in there for everybody. And that's my ultimate goal. I'd love for all of us of all ages to be confident, connected, bully-proof, and just rocking our natural lifestyles in a way that encourages others to do the same. And here are my big solution to all of those challenges that I just mentioned is really natural wellness. So let me fold this up here a little bit. So with Young Living, there are so many tools for natural wellness. There are oils, supplements, so many toxin-free alternatives. We're going to talk about this in a minute, but the makeup, this is huge for this upcoming school year for so many of the young ladies that I've been working with. We have our Teen Oiler community, so if you're not plugged into our Facebook page or the Instagram account, please make sure you're there, because a lot of these tips are going to be turned into daily posts and encouraging reminders. There are so many awesome resources. And tonight, you're going to get tips and tricks that really focus on the three areas of stress, studying, and mindset. Because I had to narrow it down to 3 things so that I could fit it into an hour. Like I said, I could probably go on about this all day. But I want to be mindful of your time and not overwhelm you with too much information. So we're going to tackle those 3 things. I'm going to stop sharing here just for 1 second before we get into the next thing. Check the chat. Does anybody have any questions so far? That seems like a good lineup. I don't see any questions yet over here in the chat. So I'm going to hop into that first topic that we have here. Hang on, let me go back to sharing my screen so that you guys can see the next couple slides. Here we go. So funny, every time I do this, it looks different. There we go. All right. So we talked about the solution being natural wellness. And the first thing I really want to get into here is the stress from school. And this could be so many different things. And if you have your chat open, you want to type in some of the things that you find to be most stressful, or if you're a parent or a teacher, the stressful things that you see. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm really hearing a lot of concern about academic challenges, social dynamics, just change in general. Sometimes it's stressful for us to go to a new building, a new school, a new grade level, new teachers. So the big tips that I have here for school stress, you can see the giant bottle of Stress Away, because that's one of my favorite oils. But oiling up is at the top of the list for everything that we're going to cover tonight. And the reason for that is the oils, Young Living essential oils especially, exclusively. I only use Young Living essential oils. So at the beginning of this first slide, I'm just going to add 2 disclaimers. The first one is that everything I say only pertains to Young Living essential oils, because they're the only oils that have the seed to seal guarantee. They're the only oils where I've been able to go to the farm and participate and see everything. That transparency and authenticity is just really, really important for me. So this is all about Young Living. And the second thing I'm going to mention is that I am not suggesting anything to treat or diagnose. So we are talking about stress for sure, but if you are struggling, with other concerns, physically, mentally, emotionally, please make sure that you don't substitute anything for your healthcare provider's recommendations without, proper consultation and research. We're just going to be talking about the kind of school stress that we all encounter tonight. So as I mentioned, oiling up is my favorite. We're going to talk about what oils help us balance stress. I believe Lexi actually has a stress blend for her diffuser that she shared in the group the other day that I've been meaning to try. I have to do that. I love Stress Away. I love Peace and Calming. Valor, I feel, gives me a lot of confidence going into things. I had put Valor on. Right now, I have the bottle of Clarity here that I've been, just kind of open next to me as I go into this. Grounding helps me with stress. There's so many oils, but the important thing here is to use the oils. And I say that kind of facetiously, but it's true. Sometimes we forget to use the oils when we need them the most. The other day, I was really stressed out, and I was kind of reaching out to my team and my friends, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm so overwhelmed. And one of them was like, did you use your oils today? And I was like, oh, no. And I do this for a living, and I've been doing it for years, but we all forget. So making a habit out of using our oils is great for stress. The next thing that I emphasize in the book, in my practice, and in my own life, I joked about it earlier, is breathing. So I'm going to stop everybody here for a second. We're going to do a little breathing together. I just want you to we're going to do 2 mindful breaths. And all you have to do is breathe in slowly through your nose, hold it for a second, and then breathe out through your mouth. And we're just going to do that twice to get a little extra oxygen into our brains and to make sure that we are feeling good. And this is something you could do anytime, anywhere. Usually 2 or 3 of them is all it takes to shift your energy and bring you to a more peaceful state of mind. So let's go ahead and try that right now. Go ahead and breathe in slowly through your nose. Hold it there for a second or 2, and then breathe out fully through your mouth. And to make sure you're doing this right, if you want to put your hand on your tummy, and when you breathe in, you should feel your belly kind of fill up with air. Hold it there for a second, and when you breathe out, you're going to feel your belly button kind of push back towards your spine. And just notice how you're feeling after doing that. You may have felt a shift, or you might just feel some relaxation in your shoulders. But now I also encourage doing that same breathing with essential oils. You can put a drop in your hand and just cup them over your nose and your mouth. And take that nice deep breath in of your favorite stress management oil. Some schools, it's different with each school. Some schools are really open and encouraging with oils to the extent where our teen oilers are getting their teachers and their administrators on board. Some schools are not. So people have been using diffuser necklaces. I know that the diffuser bracelets are amazing. Lexi makes those. So if you want the link to her Etsy site, I'll put it in the section of this on YouTube and also in our group. A couple other tips to combat school stress are to organize. And this is something that you could do now going into the new school year to set yourself up for success. This is actually the best time to combat stress. Sometimes we wait until we're in the midst of stress to try to take care of it. But really the reason I'm emphasizing so much back to school wellness is because we can build these habits now, and then when we really need them, when the exams start happening and the projects and the papers, we're going to have this great foundation. We're going to be in a habit of using our oils. We're going to be breathing regularly, and we're going to be organized, and starting with where you want to do your work and when you're going to do your work, scheduling things. And this works for those of you who are also entrepreneurs. We know that it's great to schedule everything. The next bullet I have here is to visualize. So what I want everybody to do now is just take 10 seconds. You can close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. If you want to leave your eyes open, that's fine too. But I want you to visualize what you actually want out of school. So I know we're talking about school stress, but I want to kind of turn that around, because if we keep focusing on the stress that comes with school, it's going to just create more of that. So this is the fun part. This is where we get to visualize not what we don't want, but visualize what we do want. Imagine a school year that is more organized and more exciting and more free and more empowered, and just focus on that and create that vision for yourself. And you can add to this, create a daily practice out of this too. And in a little bit, we're going to talk about the power of gratitude as a practice. You can connect all of these practices, and it doesn't need to take a long time. You could actually oil up, do your breathing, get organized, visualize. You do all that in, the first 10 minutes you're awake in the morning, not even. So just getting these habits into place, being really intentional about things so that you stay on top of it. A lot of times when we talk about essential oils, and if you've been to other back to school presentations for Young Living, there's so many good ones out there. They really focus on wellness, as far as physical wellness, supporting your immune system and making sure that you have oils for focus and things like that. But they all have that same message of being proactive. So if you want to support your immune system, you really want to use oils like thieves regularly so that you can stay well. Same thing with stress. If you use the oils proactively and create these habits, the goal is actually to minimize stress before it happens. And just a little side note about stress is that the goal is never to be stress-free. We have stress for a reason. It actually serves us, and it helps us to, make decisions and react when we are in danger. And there's reasons that we come programmed with stress. The goal, though, is to manage it and to make sure that there isn't unfounded stress that is impacting us and our mind, body, and spirit. So the last thing ties in all of that, and that is to connect and serve. Because a lot of times when we get really stressed out, it's because we're stuck in our own heads or we're stuck in our own situations. And so a really quick and easy way to shift that is to kind of get out of ourselves and connect with others and find ways to focus on kindness or connection. Some people find that within their school community. Some people have in their faith-based or church communities. Some people find it in their families. But really connecting with other individuals. That ties into service as well, because there's always something that we can do for someone else. And that act of, serving others really helps not only put things in context for us, but it diminishes our stress because it releases all the feel-good kind of hormones, and it also makes us realize some things to put it in perspective. All right, I just stopped my share, and it looks like there's more people who joined us, so this is really exciting. Welcome to everybody who is here now. I'm stopping in between our three big topics. So the first big topic that I just covered, if you caught all of it, was ways to combat stress. So I'm curious. Looks like most of you have your videos muted, which is cool because I said I was recording this and it's going to be on YouTube. But if anybody is here and wants to type in the chat to let me know what some of your favorite oils or Young Living products or just techniques are when you want to get ahead of stress, or even if you are stressed, what are some things that you like to do? Maybe some of the roll-ons. There's a tranquil roll-on and a stress away roll-on that are great to stick in your backpack or your purse. Does anybody have? Stress away oil. Oh, but we have a teacher with us this evening. Dr. Feliciani is here, and she says that she uses stress away oil for students to use before presentations. That's really powerful. I love that, but I'm sure the students do too. The one cool thing that we're going to talk about in a minute is just how we can use the oils to create associations. So if they have a really positive experience, Amina's saying that she loves the stress away roll-on too. Interestingly, in all the workshops I teach, the stress away roll-on is definitely the best. I see Lexi's beautiful face again. Lexi, do you have that blend that you shared with us? Let me unmute you. Hang on. Go ahead.
Hi. I love to use Stress Away with Jade Lemon and Copaiba. It's like just a couple of drops of each, because that was in the ER box the other month.
Awesome. And that you use in your diffuser or topically or both? Both. Awesome. That sounds like a good roll-on. So I'm going to write that one down. I actually have Copaiba in my my Essential Rewards order this month because I ran out. I've been using it on my dog. He really likes it. We'll do another talk about animals. Megan said that sounds awesome. It really does. The Jade Lemon is one that I have that I don't use nearly enough, and it smells so great. So I really love that. So any other stress tips or anything you like to do? You guys can type it in or unmute yourselves. Before we move on, the next topic we're going to cover is academic stuff. We're going to talk about study habits a little bit more, but everybody's good with this one? All right, let's hop into study habits just so we have enough time. And like I said, I'm going to unmute at the end so that we have time to have that discussion as well. Here we go. I'm going to mute Lexi just so we don't get any feedback. Looks like everybody else is muted. All right, let me go back to PowerPoint. All right. The next thing we're going to talk about now is study habits. As a former teacher, I know the struggle of this, not only as a former teacher, but as somebody who went to college for 87 years, or at least 13. Dr. Feliciani's on. I'm sure she can agree with this, and many of you just know what it's like to be in school all the time. And for me, I didn't have to really develop study habits, or when I should have developed them, I didn't focus on them as much, and then I kind of had to learn in the way that I just cautioned everybody against when I had to. So just like the last slide, the first thing here is to oil up. And one of the reasons I say oiling up for studying, not only because you could use your oils for calming, for focus, for clarity, it helps create that positive association. So you guys just shared some of your favorite blends, some of your favorite roll-ons. Those are positive associations you have. So if you use those oils while you're studying, you're going to create a brain association where you actually enjoy studying, or at least as much as you can. And the next tip I have on here is consistency. And you're going to see some overlap. This is overlap from stress management and study habits. You're going to see it again in mindset, because we can have the best ideas in the world. We can have the most amazing oils on the planet. But if we don't use them consistently and we don't actually create habits out of them, we're not going to get the full benefits. So creating a habit of studying and doing it at a certain time or in a certain place consistently is actually way more effective than cramming or just trying to figure it out when we have to. So consistency is the key. The next one that I have on here seems interesting. It's to move your body. So one of the problems with the traditional model of school, I know some of you are homeschooled, some of you are in non-traditional schools, but if you are in a traditional public or private school, there's a really good chance that you have to sit still all day. As an instructional coach, I actually had to go and shadow one of my students for a whole day. I had a lot of trouble sitting still that long. The research actually shows the more you move your body and interact and kind of engage your physiology, the more you remember, the better experience you have. So if you need to study at home, and feel free to connect me with your parents, or if you're teachers and would like the research behind this, I'd be happy to supply it. But it just makes sense. When we sit still for too long, we get bored, we get lethargic, we get so prone to distraction. How many of you have sat still for a little while and maybe grabbed your phone and just decided you were going to scroll through Instagram for 5 minutes, and then an hour later you're like, whoo, that was a long 5 minutes. So you want to move your body. You want to get out, preferably if you could get some fresh air. I know you can't do this in the middle of school, but you can, get up and stretch possibly in school, or just stretch in your seat, or do some things to just change how you're sitting. If you're doing this right now, notice how you're sitting. If you're watching this webinar and you're leaned over and your shoulders are sort of in, or you're kind of leaning on your hand on your face like this, I just challenge you at this point to sit up straight, put your shoulders back, and to just feel that one small shift, and notice how much easier it is to feel alert, to feel focused, to feel attentive. So notice how you're sitting, but also move as much as you can. Some people are auditory learners and they can learn while they're walking or jogging. That's great too, but that's really important. The next one parallels the connection on the stress relief, and that is to team up. If you have somebody who is studying the same thing, this is happening in our Teen Oiler group with our young entrepreneurs. They are starting to team up to support one another, kind of create masterminds. This also works for academics. So try to team up and find somebody that you can really connect with. It's also good to find somebody who has different strengths than you, because then you can, keep each other accountable. The next one is actually the title of a whole workshop that I teach, but I'm going to give you guys a little detail from it now, and that it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just to unplug and recharge. One of the best study habits that I've seen and done for myself that I recommend for this school year to make it the best school year ever is to give yourself time to detox from the digital stuff. So I know that for school, especially if you're in cyber school, you have to be online, but it's definitely important to give yourself unplugged recharge time, digital detox time for at least an hour or so a day, so that you're not fully plugged in. This helps physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, spiritually, pretty much on every level. So I highly, highly recommend that. And last but not least is to really focus and train your mind. And it's so funny, as teachers and as parents and just in general, it's so easy to tell people to focus and tell people to pay attention. But it's very rare that we're told how to pay attention or how to focus. And that's one way that so many of us start to think that there's something wrong with us, or that we, have a challenge or a disability, or just school's not for us. But I think that those are a lot of fallacies, because really our mind is so powerful that you can do little things, create habits practice some of these things and really allow your brain to almost rewire itself to focus. And thankfully, thanks to Young Living, there are so many oils to use for focus. So I'm going to stop the share again, go back to you guys, because I want to know what you use for focus. And I'm just curious, I saw some focus roll-on blends on Pinterest, I think. I love Clarity. That's the one I'm using right now so that I don't chase too many squirrels. But there is the Genius Blend, which is a free promo oil this month with Essential Rewards. Ooh, Jennifer uses cedarwood for focus. That's awesome. Cedarwood makes me sleepy, but I could definitely see that it's grounding. Grounding oil is the one that I actually like to use too. I need a lot of it. I didn't like the way it smelled at all when I first got it, but I love it now. Anybody else have a good blend for focus or something you like to diffuse when you really need to finish a project or write an essay? Okay. Well, I'm going to keep this open for, I don't think that the comments actually record in the recording for YouTube. So I'm going to take some of these. Grounding and joy together. That would be an awesome blend. I think I would like grounding a lot better if it had joy in it. It would help me create an association for grounding to be joyful. So pretty much all of the emotional blends, but even citrus blends are great for focus. Amina likes to use cedarwood, vetiver, and lavender. Oh, that would smell really good. I'm not a huge fan of the way vetiver smells by itself. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Is it vetiver or vetiver? Either way. It is super grounding because it kind of smells earthy. But when you put some cedarwood and lavender in it, that's amazing. Okay. You guys are awesome. I can't wait to write all these ideas down. I'm going to share some of them in the group. Oh, and to diffuse rosemary and peppermint when studying. Peppermint there's a lot of research behind that. During state standardized testing, teachers actually have been known to give kids peppermint candies. And, for those of us who are aware of the effects of sugar, especially on focus and concentration and physical wellness, peppermint oil is a much better alternative. So I'm going to definitely try that rosemary peppermint blend. That smells amazing. Rosemary is another one, like Jade Lemon, that I have that I don't always work into my routine. So this is why I need the feedback from you guys. You see in the book, there's definitely blank lines for all of these because the possibilities are just infinite, and we really need to find what works for us. So we're going to continue these conversations, but I'm going to hop into the next topic, which is mindset, which is my favorite topic. So let me go back to my PowerPoint here. Awesome. Here are our mindset tricks. And this is really at the heart of all of it. So we talked about stress. We talked about studying. Those are things that, it's a little acceptance oil helps with all those things too. But when we can master our mindset and really use that as our biggest tool, then any obstacle can become an opportunity. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But I once again have oiling up on here to create those associations. So many great oils. I was trying to find highest potential as my graphic on this one because I love highest potential. I use it a lot, along with White Angelica. Harmony is another one. Harmony is one that Gary Young recommends to use daily to kind of keep everything in balance, and it smells so good. So once I get through these tips here, tips and tricks, I'm going to go back and see what your favorite things are for mindset. But mindset's something I focus on extensively in the book. It's at the heart of my work because really so many times we just kind of let our minds do their own thing. And there are so many ways that we can really create good habits and practices that allow our minds to serve us in bigger and better ways. And my favorite way to do that is gratitude. So I doubt there will ever be a course or a webinar or anything that I teach that doesn't talk about gratitude because it's made the biggest difference in my life. Somebody told me a few years ago that it's impossible to feel grateful and stressed at the same time. And I argued. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure I'm grateful, but there's a lot of crazy stuff happening. And it was big stuff. My husband had stage 4 cancer while he was my fiance at the time. He's healthy now, but that was very stressful when I was 22. And I lost my brother to a drunk driver. I really just encountered all these tragedies and traumas, and somebody was like, oh, just be grateful. And I laughed. I was like, listen, I'm grateful for stuff, but there's a lot going on. And then I started practicing it, and my whole world changed. And so I don't say this one lightly. I really encourage this one as a practice, as a mindset, because our brains are actually trained to look for patterns. You've probably seen this when you got a new car or new shoes, or you really wanted something and suddenly it seems like it's everywhere. There aren't actually more cars or more shoes. It's that our brains are looking for the pattern. We're so focused on it that we start seeing it everywhere. So when we start focusing on things like gratitude, we start seeing things to be grateful for everywhere, even in really trying times and stressful times and traumatic times. So I challenge each and every one of you right now to think of something that you're really grateful for and feel it. This is the key to the gratitude trick. You can think about everything you're grateful for all day, every day, and not experience anything too profound. It'll still be good and it will still help you look for those patterns. But when you allow yourself to feel those feelings, that's when things really begin to shift. And that's when we can shift our brain from fight or flight back into, normal operating mode, is when we actually feel it. So, you want to be as specific as possible. My son and husband and I do this every night, where we talk about what we're grateful for from that day. So we have to be really specific, and it has to only be from that day. And it's easy to feel because it was something that happened recently. So gratitude is the best first thing in the morning and last thing at night, because it can set the tone for your whole day either way. So whatever we're focused on when we go to bed at night actually ends up becoming sort of the energy and the mindset that we wake up with in the morning. So if you're like I was, and you tend to catastrophize or think of all the things that went wrong or all the things you wish you had a do-over for before you go to bed at night, you're going to wake up in the morning looking for the do-over and feeling overwhelmed and remorseful. But if you can go to bed thinking about the great things and what you're grateful for and what worked out and what you are wanting to experience, that's how you're going to wake up. And again, tons of research and science behind this, but I really just want to say try it. It's an experiential thing, and when you try it and you experience it and you feel it, that's when the magic happens. And that ties directly into the next bullet, focusing on what you can do. One of the things that is so overwhelming for me when it comes to working with teenagers is that they're constantly being told what they can't do, what not to do. Don't be a bully. Don't hurt yourself. Don't make bad decisions. Don't drink. Don't do drugs. There's so many don'ts and nots and don't do this. And what I really want to shift that to is what the opposite. There's so many things that you can do. There's so many things that I've seen. Teenagers have outperformed adults in almost every realm that I've seen, including entrepreneurship, as I'm learning right now. But there's so many things that you can do. We can all get caught up in what we can't do, especially thanks to social media. There's always going to be somebody somewhere who does it better or prettier or faster or smarter. But that shouldn't diminish who we are as individuals. Everybody is so unique and perfect, and the focus just needs to shift away from the things that we're not and the things that we can't do to what we can do and what we are. And that's really where the whole idea of empowerment comes from. And that gives us confidence socially, that gives us confidence academically, that gives us interpersonal skills. So it really, really helps. The next one is to have a sense of humor and have fun, because I don't know, life's too short to take things that seriously. So I have a tendency to take myself or my work very seriously. And then I realize every time I get too serious, and I I don't even like what I'm doing. So that's why I started the whole webinar with having fun and just playing around with these ideas, realizing there's no right or wrong. There's no failure. It's just learning. And that goes with the next one, looking for the lesson, because there's always a lesson. And I always say, I never fail. I either succeed or I learn. And so even in the most difficult things, when I get really excited and I think I'm going to have this epic experience and it's totally not what I expected, there's always something to get from it. So looking for the lesson. So maybe you have a falling out with a close friend. Maybe there's something you can get from that. Or if you don't do well on a test or a paper, or any of the challenges that you might be concerned about going into the new school year, look for the lesson. And I had a beautiful conversation with my teen girl group today. A lot of them experienced social challenges and bullying. So before we did our relaxation and focused on our gratitude, I actually asked them to tell me what they were grateful for from the bullying experience. And I know that might sound taboo or kind of bizarre, but their answers were beautiful. So when I stop to share here, I'd love to hear if you've had any challenges that you were able to find lessons in, because they found close friendships, they found inner strength, they found a desire to help other people, they found their own compassion for people who were in similar situations. It was really powerful. And last but not least, kind of the same thing in different words, just finding ways to turn obstacles into opportunities. So the lessons, the learning, obstacles and opportunities, it's just a million different ways there's infinite ways to say this, but our minds really run with whatever we focus on. So the more we realize that obstacles are opportunities or there's lessons, it really feeds that. And natural wellness, young living, all of these things support this, because if you think about it, essential oils really are an opportunity that came from an obstacle. So many people were facing challenges with side effects, or with not feeling well, or with needing extra support and wanting naturally. And the opportunity for getting all of these beautiful things from nature is something that we can all be very thankful to Gary Young for. And lots of lessons were learned in the interim there. So I'm going to stop this just so I can hear maybe if you have a mindset trick or an oil that you like to use to help remind you to feel grateful or to have a sense of humor. Okay, I'm back over here in the chat window so I can see some of your thoughts and ideas on mindset, or I know that last slide was a lot. I covered a lot in that. And so we have our last 10 minutes here. I would just love to know if you have any oils. We actually have a blend called Gratitude. So if you haven't tried that one, there's gratitude, there's hope, there's acceptance. There's a lot of beautiful blends in that regard. I created my own blend that I call Limitless. I'll post it with a video, but I actually blended together Believe oil, Believe, Abundance, Highest Potential, and Gratitude. And I just called it Limitless, because I feel limitless when I use all of those oils, and that really helps me with my mindset. And I just feel like those oils have done a lot for me. Anybody else have oils or products that they really love to support their emotions? You're probably still processing all of that obstacle and opportunity stuff. So I'm going to finish up the PowerPoint since it's 9:21 and I want to make sure we end on time. I'm going to let you guys know of some upcoming opportunities, and we'll close out with questions and answers and a little giveaway. You guys can start your videos back up because I'll stop recording. Oh, we got a new message. Oh, Jennifer likes release oil for that's release is powerful. We're going to do another webinar probably on the Aroma Freedom technique. I love doing that with teenagers. So after school starts for everybody, I'm going to do an Aroma Freedom group opportunity so we can hop on Zoom and do some emotional release. And release oil is great for that too. Awesome. We got some more people hopping on here. If you weren't able to catch the whole thing, I am recording it, so this will be up on YouTube soon. Let me go back. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Let me go back to sharing my screen. I'll finish up my PowerPoint and then we'll be good to go with questions and answers. All right, here's my self-care tips. This is the best way to wrap it up before I tell you about the upcoming workshop. And this is straight out of the book. Actually, I just copied the self-care tips right from that section in the Teen's Guide to Wellness, Purpose, and Abundance. But in case you don't have that, I encourage all of you going into this new school year, whether you are a teen, whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, take some time for yourself every day. Schedule it if you need to. just remember that self-care isn't selfish. We can't pour from an empty cup. So you want to make sure that you're taking that time to oil up, taking that time to focus on your mindset, taking that time to build the habits that we talked about. Be aware of your environment. Just that's a basic part of mindfulness, is just noticing things around us, noticing the beauty, noticing the smells, noticing the sights, the sounds. Just really focusing in the present moment is an amazing way to help take care of ourselves. And be gentle with yourself. In the beginning slide, I mentioned being a recovering, overachieving, people-pleasing perfectionist, and obviously I wasn't being gentle with myself when I wrote that, but what helps me with all those things is to release them. Release oil did help with that, but to release them and to remember to be gentle with myself and really fill up with those things that I am trying. So the things I can do, as I mentioned. And last but not least, remember that those small habits over time make the biggest difference. So using one oil consistently over time is going to impact your life and your school year way more than, dousing yourself in half a bottle when you have a rough day. So please hang on to that tidbit there. And that leads into the top 3 questions. I don't really have enough time to go too far into detail with these, but everybody seems to be asking similar questions. The first one is, can natural wellness, essential oils, all of this, can this really help with bullying, academic struggles, social issues, bad decisions, emotional, spiritual stuff? Clearly the list goes on and on and on. And I hope that by now, at this point in the webinar, you realize that it definitely can. Obviously, you're not going to be able to put an oil on a bully and make them go away. That would be really cool if there was a bully-proof oil. But what you can do is bully-proof yourself in a way that builds your mindset and your emotions and your physical and spiritual wellness so that the impact isn't as detrimental. Same thing with academics and social. So many of these challenges that people want answers to, that we're really going to get into in the upcoming workshop that starts next week, really just come from, lack of consistency, lack of structure, lack of habits that build good skills. So my answer to that one is a resounding yes, obviously. The next question I get asked the most by teens and adults alike is, how can I get more teens to care about wellness? Again, we're going to cover this extensively in the upcoming workshop, but the short answer is to care about it yourself and to really embody it and to show people how good you feel and what a difference things are making in your life, because that's contagious. When people see you feeling good and being excited and caring about something, they want to care too. It's been my experience that young people really want to engage with meaningful things, and they could totally do that. What's more meaningful than our own wellness? So there's the short answer to that is, before we get into the big course, is just to care about it yourself. And last but not least, what you can do to support teens on their young living journey, either getting well or becoming entrepreneurs. So many moms and teachers and team leaders have asked this question because they really want to encourage everyone to get away. That's how we feel about everybody in the world. I can't think of anybody of any age that I don't want to support on their young living journey, that I want to have. I really want oils in every home on the planet, just like Gary Young. But the best thing that we can all do to support people, especially teens, is to support them as individuals and to really acknowledge their thoughts and feelings and know that they matter, and ask them how they feel and what they think, and get them to find value and meaning, because we can tell people forever, but getting them to find the value and meaning is what's going to create something sustainable. And last but not least, for that one, facilitate an experience. It's, I'm doing the Zoom call. My live events are very interactive and experiential because that's what we take with us. So instead of telling somebody that Young Living can change their life and that the oils are amazing, give them a drop, let them have an experience. And that's my big answer to that question. And And real quick, I'm just going to tell you about the next level. All of these questions, all the feedback that has led to that special back to school edition of the Teen Wellness 101 course. The online course launched a couple months ago, and it's sort of been a self-paced, anybody can join it at any time, but there is a special version that starts on Monday. There's still an early bird rate that goes up until Friday. It's different from the original because everyone's going to go at the same pace. So we're going to all start on Monday and go for 3 weeks straight instead of anybody hopping in when they want to. It's also condensed. Some people gave me feedback, said 5 weeks was a little long, especially this time of year. So I condensed it down to 3 weeks, gave you the most value. But it's, you can get to the stuff at your own pace. You could do it anytime. You have lifetime access. So it's not that you have to crunch in all the content. It's just been more condensed. The cost is also half as much as the original, and it's even less if you use the code I'm going to give you in a minute. And there are more bonuses. So with the course, you get a free coaching session. Actually, the whole course is less. It costs less than just one of my coaching sessions because I really, really want to get this content out to everybody. I want to make sure they have the tools and resources, not only to make it the best school year ever, but to help other people have the best school year ever. And this is the graphic for it. I'll give you all that information in the event page from this, and also on Facebook, you'll see all that sign up information. I'm super excited. There's already a couple people enrolled, and somebody from tonight's call is going to win a free, a complimentary session so that you can access that. And we're going to get Siri's help with that. I'm going to get this little giveaway out of the way so that you guys know who wins, and then I'm going to unmute everybody so you can ask questions. But right now, there are 7 participants aside from me. So I'm going to ask Siri to pick a random number between 1 and 7. Siri, could you pick a random number between 1 and 7?
The answer is 1.
The answer is 1. So on my list here, it looks like Amina is the first person that comes up on the list. So you get a complimentary access to our back to school wellness workshop that starts on Monday. I'll send you a message, let you know how you can enroll for that. Everybody else, in addition to the early bird rate that goes until Friday, if you use the coupon code, I'll type it in here, it's just Teen Oiler, all capitals. You can save another 10%. So I put that on there, and I'm super excited about this. And it's, like I said, it's lifetime access. So it's really going to give you guys everything I talked about tonight, but at the next level, because I can't possibly fit everything into an hour. It's exactly 9:30 now, though, so I'm going to stop the recording, and